Battlebots out here with more news. Once again, we finally have Bounty Hunter news. It is so exciting. Also news about the Battlebots Golden Bolt. It's all one thing apparently, and it's called Battlebots Champions, and we talk all about it here next on the Combot Collective.
Oh my God! Wow! This is the biggest flame we've ever seen.
Has preserved enough energy to get in the flip on Carbine. We're going to go all the way.
Oh my God! That's gonna hurt! Grab the milk, Kenny!
Welcome to the Combot Collective.
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Combot Collective, bringing everything you want to know from the world of robot combat, from Battlebots to the live circuit, from the heavyweight class to the flyweight class. And we are talking about a little bit more Battlebot news here. They're going on a little bit of a hot streak here, huh? As of course June is turning into July, we are now fresh off a successful Battlebots Remars All-Stars event, one where Hypershock and its new driver Alex Bales would end up taking the Giant Bolt. Do apologize if I spoiled that for anybody, but they made it such obvious news, I might as well just put it out there. I don't want to do a whole news thing about it until the proper results come out, but I digress. But from a silver bolt, we now go for the gold with a gold bolt here, as Battlebots has finally announced their plans for the 2021 Bounty Hunters and the Golden Bolt tournament. On the 27th of June, Battlebots would finally go public on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and all their social media pages, announcing that these two events are actually one big of televised event called Battlebots Champions, with the official quote here from their social media. Great news, our Summer Series Battlebots Championship kicks off on August the 4th on Discovery and Discovery Plus. 5 Sin City Slugfest qualifiers will determine who will face former Giant Nut champions in the Ultimate Robot Fighting Showdown. Don't miss all new 6 2-hour episodes starting on August the 4th. Feels like there's way too many commas in that post, but I digress. With this news, we now know that it come the end of July, we will be back here on the Combot Collective with more Battlebots breakdown episodes in terms of predictions and post-fight recaps. And more importantly, a summer of new Battlebots content, as their summer championship of sorts is set to go on air from August 4th all the way to the September 9th. And it looks like this new series will be on both Discovery and Discovery Plus, which is new, something that Bounty Hunters did not have the luxury of doing. And I think that's a good thing, you know, I guess only time will tell, but it seems like it's going to be a good thing that they're trying to put more Battlebots on their main channels. Hopefully we'll be seeing more of that come next season. This new Heat format will be somewhat of a hybrid of the Bounty Hunters and, you know, your classic Robot Wars format, with 5 bracket episodes leading to one big final bracket, with the Bounty Bosses, which won last year, getting the bye to each bracket's final matchup, and the 3 current Battlebots champions, Tantrum, Tombstone, and Endgame, all getting a bye to the final bracket episode of the entire series. With these 40 main competitors, 5 Bounty Bosses, and the 3 Battlebots champions, it looks like overall we're going to be seeing 48 of the 60 plus robots in the 2021 field competing in this competition, with some robots even making their debut, their 2021 Battlebots debut here at Battlebots Champions. Robots like Double Jeopardy, Perfect Phoenix, and of course the Red Hot from Winning Robot Ruckus 2021, big deal. Another thing fans were told to look forward to was the lack of untelevised content, with Battlebots replying to a fan saying that only 2 of the 47 matches which occurred during this Battlebots Champions competition were untelevised, as Battlebots would say verbatim that those fights were very short and uneventful, which would make sense if they ended up being something like the Rampage versus Retrograde matchup or something along that line. I do seriously love the idea, though, of the Golden Bolt bracket being a mishmash of former Battlebots champions and our current brand new Bounty Hunter bounty holders. The rumor before this announcement was that the Golden Bolt competition was going to be an all-star event of sorts, which led me to much confusion when the official announcement was made for the Remars All-Stars Championship, because that was also supposed to be an all-star event like the 2019 one. But this does make a lot more sense here, as we now have this best of the best bracket with all of these robots probably competing within the final day or 2 of the overall recording session. You know, robots that have been battle hardened over 2 weeks of fights, all going at it at the end for what it has to be one of the coolest championships we've ever seen presented in any robot combat event with the Golden Bolt. We're also going to get some opportunity to see some real shuffling around with the TCC 10 during this event, as Tantrum still has a death grip on the top slot with a 20-point lead over its partner Blip in number 2. Though a lot can change with this event and the Remars All-Stars event that Blip was in, but we're still waiting for results to come out for all these things before we can make some proper changes to the ranking in the list. Talking about what we do know is upcoming, we do know 4 of the bounty round matchups we can expect during the opening rounds of this Battlebots Champions competition, along with 2 of the robots that are going to be featured in the premiere episode on August 4th. The Discovery website would make an update on June 27th along with the Battlebots announcement, with the following upcoming episode posted on the Battlebots page there. Season 6, Episode 15, August 4th, 2022, Champions, let the slugfest begin. In the fight capital of the world, a new tournament kicks off for Robot Combat's hottest trophy, the Golden Bolt. But first, the Robots must face the toughest battle ever seen in Vegas, the Sin City Slugfest starring Gigabyte. And as said there, the first episode in the first bracket, looking to be known as the Sin City Slugfest, is headed by none other than the bounty boss Gigabyte, arguably one of the best robots during all the 2020 Battlebots season. The only robot confirmed in this bracket publicly so far is Duck, who, like we talked about earlier in the year, will be retiring at the end of this competition, so Battlebots Champions will likely be Duck's final event ever. And supporters do know the full bracket for this competition, this first episode here, but we can't reveal anything until that is out publicly, likely towards the end of July. And for some fans, unfortunately, the whole entire result of this episode was revealed. Thank you for Amazon Remars for making that trailer and spoiling 2 Battlebots episodes there, but I do digress. This opening bracket is exciting. It's full of, playoff level robots, all-stars and Battlebots, and a handful of robots that really deserved a second chance after having a lackluster regular season. So, your usual bounty mix there. This is going to be a pretty exciting episode. A lot of good fights here, I think. But like I said, when this bracket is formally revealed, you can expect our Bounty Hunter prediction episodes to finally begin dropping. But in the meantime, we do have these 4 opening fights and the bracket which they belong in confirmed to happen at some point during Battlebots Champions 2021. 2 of these fights, which have been revealed to us for quite some time, are the Crusher vs. Spinner matchup of Orby vs. Kraken. I think that was revealed all the way back during the intro for this competition. That is going to be in the Scorpius bracket. And of course, the very much anticipated Huge vs. Deep 6 matchup, which will be in the LockJaw bracket. Now, talking about these 2 matches here, first going to Orby Blade vs. Kraken. It would be a real shame if Orby goes through this entire bracket, somehow makes that Cinderella run, and then ends up having to fight Scorpius again. We do know that the Orby team is a very creative group. They can machine some amazing stuff, so maybe they can come up with some counter that they didn't have in the initial Scorpius matchup, but it would just be hard. It's a hard fight taking on Scorpius. It's a 2-time All-Star robot for a reason, and any horizontal spinner is going to have a tough time with them. If Tombstone and Perfect Phoenix can't touch them, it's going to be hard to find a robot that can with that weight, with that weapon style. Kraken, on the other hand, we have seen them take on some overhead robots this year and do some proper damage. We've talked plenty about the Kraken versus Extinguisher matchup that happened at South Florida Fair, but Extinguisher is a larger robot. There's more of a surface area there, and it's a less potent weapon. Kraken's really going to have to watch out for the spinner of Scorpius. I feel like that thing would be designed perfectly to rip it to the face of that robot. We do know that Matt Spurk is a great driver, maybe one of the most underrated in the sport, but Zach Lytle is a very well known to be a good driver, so hard matchup there. I think they're both very similar robots in terms of being 2-wheel drive, really breaking out in 2018. A lot of history there. I would love to see this be a regular season matchup at Battlebots 2022, 23, whatever it ends up being. But talking about the Huge versus Deep 6 matchup in the LockJaw bracket, we've seen a little bit of this matchup and we know it's going to be big. I think the opening strike of that matchup was teased in some media somewhere. I might be wrong about that, but I remember seeing those 2 robots flying from some impact. I know I can't wait for that matchup, as along with a lot of fans in the community. But talking about the potential of a LockJaw matchup, I think Deep 6 would have some trouble. We have seen them get caught in some rough, precarious positions with the big spinner. Minotaur drove them up to where they caught the rail of the screws there and it threw them up and ended up causing some smoke to start spurting out of them. And then of course the infamous Deep Six versus Smee match, getting caught up in the kill saws. LockJaw knows a thing or two about getting caught up in the kill saws, but I don't think to the extent the Deep Six was caught up in there. That was pretty rough. I think LockJaw would have the edge in that matchup just overall, even with the rough year that they've had so far, going 0-3. Huge, on the other hand, I think would be in the perfect spot to beat LockJaw. Deep Six's only saving grace in the matchup against LockJaw would be its reliability at times. We know LockJaw's known to go up and smoke every now and then and cause a bit of a stir that way, losing matches it probably should have won. And with how Huge is built, you know, maybe LockJaw's forks can get in there and drive Huge around, you know, get into the side of Huge's wheels, drive it around like that, But with how Huge is built, I think he can just land strike versus strike to the strike to the side, or sorry, to the top of LockJaw, and eventually some smoke is going to come out. Maybe he can kill the weapon, do some damage to a wheel, make it drive wobbly. Donald Hudson's a great driver, but so is Jonathan Schultz, and I think Huge would have the edge there. It's going to be very fascinating to see which robots end up getting drawn in LockJaw's bracket, because I do think that LockJaw's pretty beatable this year. So even after a long set of fights, we'll have to see how that ends up going for these three robots. But also recently revealed alongside the Battlebots Champions announcement will be 2 more Controlbot versus Horizontal Spinner matches, funnily enough, just like the Kraken and Orby matchup. As Battlebots would share that we would be seeing an all-star matchup between Free Shipping and Ice Wave in the Rotator bracket, plus Perfect Phoenix's 2021 debut in Episode 5, where it takes on Sub-Zero, who hunts to take on Witch Doctor in its bracket yet again. Now these are both really exciting to me, of course. We have 2 robots that are recognized All-Stars by Battlebots. They both appeared in the 2019 Remars All-Stars event. Free Shipping versus Ice Wave, a bit of fire versus ice here. And obviously if we were talking 2018, this would be Ice Wave's match all the time. But things have changed a lot since the red hot Ice Wave we had in 2018, splitting bots left and right. And Free Shipping has shown a lot more durability and a lot more promise in this year, even if it wasn't able to pick up any wins at all. You know, just look what it did against Blacksmith and Tombstone especially. They probably could have even won the uppercut matchup if they didn't end up freezing themselves on the wall. All stuff that we've talked about plenty before in the past. I think if Free Shipping can somehow get in there and lift over Ice Wave in the opening minute of the match, this match is decided. Free Shipping can stop the weapon and toss it over like we've seen Whiplash do in the playoffs. It would be easy. We do know that Free Shipping's weapon, its lifting arm, a little bit less sturdy, but we do know it can lift. It threw Blacksmith over. No reason why I think it can't throw Ice Wave over. But for Ice Wave and Mark the Vitz, they're just going to have to keep landing strike after strike after strike on this robot and hope it doesn't die. I don't know if Ice Wave can knock out Free Shipping. I'd be surprised if it does. But if it goes to the judge's decision and Ice Wave looks relatively decent, I think they'd easily take a judge's decision. You know how Battlebots judging goes. But of course, the big one here, for me at least, Sub-Zero versus Perfect Phoenix. I think we're finally coming home. I think we're finally getting a win this year. I at least hope so for Sub-Zero. I mean, we look at this picture here with Perfect Phoenix, and I hate to be one of those over-speculatory guys, but it does look like Perfect Phoenix's wedge is getting bent up and into its own spinner there with the ramming strike from Sub-Zero. And we've seen it in the past. Just look at Saw Loser versus Crash Fest at the recent May Norwalk Havoc. If you put your weapon into your own wedge like that, sometimes bad things can happen. Another one, Ghost Raptor versus Son of Waiachi in 2018. Ghost Raptor kind of knocked itself out there. So that can spell disaster for Perfect Phoenix. That would really suck. At least for them, I would be super excited to see Sub-Zero go the distance and potentially fight Witch Doctor again. Obviously, it would be an uphill battle. I mean, you're fighting a robot that literally went all the way to the Battlebots finals this year. And Sub-Zero, of course, fought them last year after winning 3 fights and kind of got their asses kicked, I do admit. But I am very fascinated to see who's going to be in this bracket that Sub-Zero might face. But that's going to wrap it up. That's all the Battlebots Champions news that we've had revealed to us over the past couple of days. This is an exciting span for Battlebots news here. There was so much of a lull after the end of the 2021 championship. But now we know that Remars All-Stars has go down. Maybe some Discovery Warner negotiations thing has finally sprung up, and maybe something positive is going on here for Battlebots, as we now have Battlebots Champions filming that summer void. I am glad to have more Battlebots content, fresh Battlebots content coming a little bit later after the April stuff. It is nice to have that gap, spread the content out. Though I wish they were a bit more like open about it, like, you know, put some trailers in at the end of the final Battlebots episode, you know, or maybe just in the Battlebots finale in general. Saying, hey, coming June or coming August, Battlebots Champions or Bounty Hunters or whatever, if they want to keep it lowbrow for a bit. And, you know, that would have kept everyone, you know, at least a little bit satiated. They know what to expect. But there were rumors that it wasn't going to be until December, and geez, I'm glad that that's not the case. I was certainly worried about that. But that's all we do have to talk about here. If you do like what we're doing here at the Combot Collective, please give us a like, comment, and a subscription here on our YouTube page. We love all the support you give us and on our social media. Please follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, and on our Discord channel. That's where all of our news goes out first. This has been the Combot Collective. I am Sterling Brown. You can find me on Instagram at SterlingTXTG and in my future project, PhD in BS. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time in another TCC news video.
This was the Combot Collective. Find us on Instagram and Discord.